So let me go ahead and add a new item in the existing entity framework project. And I'll begin with creating a standard file for entity framework. It's just similar to what we did for database tables. We created a SQL standards file with some standards that we have defined. Here again, you could define your standards for entity framework. How do you want to name the classes, the naming convention, and any other parameters that you would want to follow when creating an entity framework models and the context class. So you could define the standards here. I've just given one or two for the sample purpose for our discussion. And once created, we'll go ahead and start using GitHub Copilot to generate the code. So done. Now let me go ahead and start the GitHub Copilot chat. And this time, ask you to generate the entity framework model class for a given table, which I'll give as I'll reference that file, example TBL technology table or certification table, and also ask you to follow the standards uh, in the standards file. So here I have a file, the C# model for the table that was created. Right now, you could notice it has created a different class certification. Now I'm asking you to follow the standards in the EF standards and regenerate the code. Let me add the file PBL certification.cs. Now I'll copy and paste the code which was generated. Now again here you could generate documentation, you could generate a very detailed document for the model, and like this, now it is generating the same code using by applying the entity framework standards. Now you could notice the certification file, public class certification, is now renamed to public class TBL certification as per the standards defined in the standards file. Now it is going to replace, and I have the latest code, right? So like this, you could go ahead and create the content for all other files, all other models that you have from technology, roles, main content, and all other roles, all other tables. So here I have the final main content file, which is all generated. Now let's go ahead and create a context file. The context file is the one which will reference all the models and then gives access to other services to uh, run database queries or get data with entity framework layer. So here I'm asking you to generate a context file and asking you to, without any specific conditions, I'm asking you to generate. So what you'll notice is it creates a generic context file, say my context file or my namespace. It's a more generic code which can then be exported into context class. So code as a first. So we are basically asking you to generate in the code first approach, and then it will go and generate the context file. Now you will notice here it is more a generic, like your context and your uh, namespace.data file. So but we want it to align to our namespace and our naming convention. So I'm asking it to rename the context class to more relevant to the project. Right? It could be whichever name you feel like is relevant. I'm asking you to rename it as ICP context. And here I have the context file, which I can now copy and replace it in the context file. So here I'll now manually replace your model with more relevant models of my. Rename this to TBL certification or other certifications which I have. So, or I could also use the inline GitHub Copilot to generate the code. Sometimes, if you're more not specific and very generic, you will not get the results. So now I'm going to ask it to generate the ModDB set for individual TBL certifications, roles, main content individually, right? So here I have for TPL certifications. Similarly, I had created for TPL roles. Similarly, TPL TPL technology. Now finally to the main content. So now here I have all the four tables to which I've created. For now I'm going to remove all these other errors. And now I have the context file to which I still have to add the connection string details and the configs DB settings, which we can add manually or again use Copilot. Here you have the core context file with the function. So now what we're going to do with the context file will be to let me fix that uh, error where I basically have to install the entity framework layer package. So once that is done, it will fix the errors. So here I have the final model. Now I'm asking you to generate the seed data function, which is nothing but your on model creation. So here it provides the basic override function of on model creating, and you could notice it is creating a sample seed data for table set. So, but what we will do is we will go ahead and create a JSON file as a seed data, and then import the JSON, import the JSON file runtime using the C# code, right? So that in that way, we'll be able to show discuss about how to generate sample data using Copilot, not only code but sample data using to uh, specify the details. So let me go ahead and now this is one way to create it inline. I don't want to create it inline, so I'm going to create using a JSON file. So now let me go here and add. Now here I'm asking you to generate a JSON data, generate data for technology model as a JSON code. So now it generates all the fields here introduced and all other details that you need to copy. I'll manually now add a data folder and then add the JSON file for this particular uh, technology model. So call it as technologies.json and then paste the details. Now I can come here and ask the context file to write a logic to import a JSON file as part of the seed data, right? So I can now be more specific to ask it to add the seed data from technology, the JSON file into context model or a context class. So once you do that, it now gives you the on model creation override along with the ability to read the file and import the file, right? So like this, you could also add seed data from a JSON file uh, into this code, and now I can and now fix these individual errors from package to it is a list of technology, but it should be a list of TBL technology, which is a model name. So I'm going to fix them manually. TBL certificate technology and TBL technology. Now, similarly, I can go ahead and add this data for all other fields, all other tables from certification. So now since these are, let's say I want to get a list of all latest Microsoft certifications as part of my certification table, I can ask it to generate the data and then you can expect it to get the latest certifications which Microsoft supports provides from the internet and then and give them as an import. Here I'm now generating it for roles and then add it to the model, the seed data function is what I'm asking now. I'm asking to generate both seed data as well as the C# code to generate, add it to the model creating. So here I have the roles and now I have the code to import the file into uh, context, right? So this is how you could generate sample data and import the same into a project. Here I have the sample JSON file roles and then paste. Now I'll go ahead and generate the data for the same. Copy that and then replace. So this is again need to do some minor fixes. TBL roles and TBL since Newtonsoft is already installed, I don't see an error with Newtonsoft, and I'm done. I'm done with generating the sample data and the seed data. And here I'm generating the certification list as a certification list, which I can then add it to my code. So from ASR 900 to AI, it is able to generate the sample. Now I can like this, I can ask it to generate all the data certifications, AI certifications individually and add it, so but I can continue to generate the data, but you get the idea of how you can use GitHub Copilot to not only generate code but also generate the certification list and certification names that are needed for this to for you to implement entity framework models, context file, and the seed data logic, which will at a much more faster pace and speed than if you have to do this manually, right? So try these commands, try the prompts in the video as well as in the blog, and let me know any questions. I'll be happy to. So here I have the data for certifications, roles, technology, uh, as part of seed data, which I can keep updating and importing the JSON file.